Okay, so basically, I've gotten a few questions regarding some of the just confusion about the example assignment and the test cases and all that still. So I'm hoping that this will be the kind of last the last time I need to clarify this, because I'm sorry that it's so confusing. I did not intend it to be this way. But basically what I want to help you understand is that what I'm testing is your ability to analyze a system, to analyze code. That's what being a programmer is all about. It's not just about being able to write some if statements or write some loops or make some variables. Like, that's not what programming is all about. What programming is about is being able to analyze a problem, create a solution, and be able to analyze someone else's solution. Because sometimes not everybody thinks the same way. And so when you come up with a solution to a problem, if it works, and I come up with a solution to a problem, sometimes one is better than the other. Sometimes they're both equally good and they're just different. If one smartphone was the best smartphone in the world and was the only way to do it, then we wouldn't have iPhones and Samsungs and all these other brands out there, right? So what I want to help you understand is this test, this exam, is about your ability to analyze someone else's code. All right. So this video is linked on a Google Classroom post that is going to explain what each of the different parts of this are. So I'm going to go ahead and let me pull up the post that I'm going to share with you guys. Let's see, share my screen. Okay. All right, so here we go. Good. Okay, so basically this is the post that you probably have read, and you've clicked on a link down here to this video. Okay, so is this like an infinite recursive thing where we just link to the anyway? All right. So the first thing that you got was this final assignment that explained what your job was. Okay, so this was this thing right here, right? So what I was preparing you to understand is what you're going to be given was a set of submissions, and you needed to get into tell me, how did I do? Did I solve the problem? Did I solve it correctly? If not, what did I do wrong? What did our student not do correctly? What was some of the problems that you encountered? Okay, so that was the first thing that you got. Then you also got this final description. Well, in order to grade a student submission, you need to know what they're submitting. You need to know what the description is. So this whole document was describing an assignment that our fictional student, that our example student, would have to create a submission for. Okay, so what your job is to understand what the instructor was asking for, so that you, as in this case, you can imagine yourself as a teaching assistant. So you, as the teaching assistant, you need to know what you're grading on, right? So you need to understand what the instructor wanted, and then therefore what how should I grade it? I don't want to just make a random number up out of 1 to 100 and give each student some random grade. I want to really understand how to grade this thing. Okay, so then we come back here. All right, let's see. So then I gave you some examples, this example code that really just asks for two methods, the get and the set, but then also two other methods, the square and the square root, and an exception class. Then you were given 4 example submissions, the 001, 002, 003, 004. One that was perfect, one that was exactly what we were looking for, one that was confusing, but it was mostly correct, and then 2 bad submissions, one that had compiler errors and didn't return the right thing and stuff like that, right? So the whole point there was to help you understand that not all code is the same, right? Not all code, just because the output is correct doesn't mean the code is correct. Just because the code is confusing and you don't really understand what it's doing doesn't mean that it's incorrect, right? And so I was helping you understand how to be able to do that with a simple 2-method class to be able to get that going. Okay, you would use some of the things that I talked about in that video to understand how to analyze the more complex assignment, the final exam assignment. Okay, and finally, what were you given? You got the actual submissions from the students. You were given a folder, access to this folder, the CSE 102 final project folder on Google Classroom is where I linked it, right? This place was where all the student submissions are stored. So all the files that the students gave, they put it in there, okay? How should the students have submitted? What should the file name have been? What were we expected to get from them? Use the assignment description to understand all that, okay? Should be noted, not all students did everything correctly. Okay, it should go without saying. That's the point of why we are getting you to grade this, is so that you can understand what was correct and what wasn't. Okay, I am attaching one other thing to this. The Google Classroom post that this video is linked in. I had to make it an assignment because I wanted to create a copy of this Google Sheet for each of you so that you could have access to it directly. You don't need to submit anything to this assignment. You just want to have this Google Sheet. Okay. What you should submit to is you should submit a single PDF, Word document, or a link to a Google Doc. You need to submit that through OYS. I'm not positive about this, but I think that I cannot grade anything that's not submitted through OYS. Okay, so and even if so, just in case, submit through OYS. All right. So let's talk about this Google example sheets that you've got. All right, let's take a look right here. Okay. So you're going to have this file. It's going to have your name on it based on your Google Classroom ID. All right, and so basically this would be an example, a very simple example of a sheet that we might use to grade a student submission. Okay, so what you could do is you could say, okay, so student number 001. Okay, number 1. All right, when did they submit it? All right. Let's say they submitted it on the due date. And as we would see, this days late is 0. And if we change this to 3rd of June, it's still 0 days late. But notice that they turned it in on the 5th of June. Right now it's 1 day late. You should use this. You should use this days late calculation as a way to understand, oh, if the student is late, what happens? Do they just not get it graded at all? What do we do with that? Okay. So then, and I am going to add, actually, I'm going to add a one above here because I want to have a total errors. And what I want, let me do this. Okay. What I want to do is I want to show you that, okay, the yellow fields, okay, all the yellow fields should not be filled in by you. That's how we would do this, okay? We would undo the lines. I really should not have done this while the recording was going on, but only the yellow fields would be filled in by you, right? So let's say they had 1 compiler error, 2 runtime errors, and 3 logical errors. So now we got this total errors of 6, right? All right. Test run. Well, we ran 30 tests, and they passed. Let's say they passed 10 of them. All right. So they failed 20, they passed 33% of our cases. And what grade should we give them? So that based on the number of errors they had, based on the tests that they passed, what grade should we give them? Well, we can just throw in a number. I mean, if you want to throw in a number, that's fine. But this is what this section would help us understand, is why you put this number here. So let's say you said, well, they passed 33. I'm just going to make this be, whatever that value is, right? Their grade out of 100 is going to be, well, actually that should be out of 100, right? That's how I'm going to do it. Just going to be based on test pass, right? And you can do that if that's what you want to do. I'm not saying that that's going to be seen as correct, but you need to type that in here. So you need to say, I just made their grade the percentage of tests passed. Okay. But what's the problem here? We don't know why we failed these, right? We don't know why we failed these test cases. You need to tell our student, okay, they failed the following test cases. Okay. And then set that student, or whatever. I mean, I don't remember. Yeah, so set student. No, I don't think that's actually one that's there. Set chair, right? So they failed the set chair, and why? What failed about it? What was it that they didn't do correctly in that method, right? So you need to have this information. Okay, so if you use this, and the nice thing about Google with their Google Sheets is you can export this. You can download as a PDF. Okay, and then what you can do is you can download. I think you can download as an image too. Nope, you can't. All right. Or you could use some type of image capture program like this to be able to capture the image of this. All right, and then that way we can see what you were understanding of how to test this. Like, because we don't want to just give our student a random grade and just say that's what your grade is. We want to tell them why. We want to be ready to tell them why. What did they fail? Okay. I hope that's clear. I hope that clears things up a little bit. Again, if you still have more questions, we're here. If you want to email myself or Alperin or Taha about any questions that you may still have. I very much encourage you to get started on this early rather than late. There are a number of submissions that are there in that folder, and you need to grade all of them. You need to grade all of them in order to receive full credit for this this exam, this assignment. Okay. All right. I think that's it. And have a nice remaining time. And I hear that the restrictions have been removed, so everybody's able to go outside now. So enjoy the fresh air and everything. All right. All right.